I would like your nominations for Game of the Year. Yes, it's that time already. So what I'm going to do is, here I've made a selection of games that I think were really outstanding played in 2019. So I'm just going to review those just to kind of jog your memory. But I'd like your suggestions as well. So if you could write in the comments section games that for you have been really memorable, then what I'll do is I'll take all your suggestions and games that I really like as well, and then we'll organise a poll and you'll be able to vote on Game of the Year. But first of all, we're looking for nominations for Game of the Year. So anyway, here's my selection, a little reminder. So of course, we cannot ignore the world champion, and he played, as ever, some outstanding chess in 2019. It's been such a rich year for him, and obviously an extremely successful year as well. So for example, almost a year ago, the Tata Steel tournament, so this was a game against Richard Rapport where he outplayed the Hungarian and finished off with this splendid attack that went like this. Bishop takes pawn check, and now a very neat little tactical end to the game, because if that's taken, then white simplifies, and obviously with an extra exchange that's very easy. But it was a beautiful kind of strategic performance from Carlsen where suddenly he switched over to a kingside attack. Absolutely wonderful game. Okay, another game of Carlsen's that I really liked. Now this one you might not find so impressive. In many ways, this is not a spectacular game, but in many ways I would say one of his most impressive performances in 2019. This was also from Viscount against Jan Krzysztof Duda from Poland. And here Carlsen, this is after move 27, Carlsen has a rook and two minor pieces against two rooks. Now, this is such a hard position to control for white, because those minor pieces, well, particularly the knight, is sort of floating around a bit. It doesn't have protection of a pawn. Black's rook's obviously very well placed on nice open fires and on the second rank, but somehow Carlsen, with incredible care and patience, managed to win this game after 71 moves. I mean, it was just outstanding. So that's another fine game. And then, if we're looking for a different side of Carlsen, well, there was his game against Alexander Grischuk, where he took on Grischuk's Grunfeld and just destroyed him on the king side, playing the h-pawn forward, then the f-pawn, and, well, he ripped apart Grischuk's king side and finished the game like this. And there's going to be a quick destruction here. That was wonderful. And then you might think, what about this quick victory against Anish Giri? This was an extraordinary game. He won in 23 moves. He put the queen on a8, and Giri had completely overlooked this idea. And then just threw forward the h-pawn and ripped open white's kingside. There is no defence at all. Extraordinary. Very unusual. Or you might want to pick one of his Sveshnikov games. He won several beautiful Sveshnikov games. This one against Karyakin from the Gashimov. Well, this was superb. With this wonderful octopus knight on d3. Classic Carlsen, where he combined very fine strategy, pawn sacrifice, with a blistering attack at the end on the king side. Well, okay, I've mentioned Carlsen enough, I know. A player that, for me, in 2019 really had a kind of breakthrough year after, well, his result in St. Petersburg, well, both in the World Rapid and World Blitz, but Daniel Dubov played some outstanding games, and if you remember, I already flagged this one up. This was played in European Team Championship against Rasmus Fana, and at the time I said, well, this could be a game of the year, and well, yeah, could be. If you remember, Dubov just started this extraordinary attack on the kingside. Well, firstly, he'd already given up a pawn here, ripped open the kingside with the h-pawn, but just didn't bother with any niceties in this position. But yeah, I mean, this was just an incredible performance. I don't want to go through the whole game again, but just a reminder, it culminated in this incredible attack where Black's king was driven way across the other side of the board, and then there was a checkmate at the end. Wonderful attack and really deep calculation to win this one. I mean, just amazing, just amazing. That, for me, that would be absolutely in the, let's say, the top 3 games of the year. But you decide whether you think it's worth for, you know, the top prize. But another game he played, which actually I didn't record on the channel, was Dubov's victory against Giri in the Moscow Grand Prix tournament, where in this, I mean, this was remarkable. It shows Dubov's daring. Another game where he castled queenside. He played castles queenside here. Look, no pawns in front of the king. And, well, finally managed to coordinate everything. And in this position, well, he was about to play knight takes f7 with, well, with mate following shortly after this. And this. That's mate, or let me see, this is also checkmate, I believe, in a couple of moves. Yep, there we go. I mean, it was just an amazing game. I bring you back to this position after castles queenside. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it. So I think Dubov, I mean, if I get a chance, I might record that game for you to take a look at in detail. I'm sure you'll find it on other sites, or but it was remarkable. So if you want to nominate that game, you know, I might record that one. But yeah, I think Daniel Dubov has 2 very strong candidates for Game of the Year. Then you might want to look at someone like Teimour Radjabov. This is from Vaikonze 2019, way back in January, where here he decided it was time to advance on the kingside with g4. And then he just went for it. And in this position, he simply gave up the piece on c3 and just played down that g-file. It was a beautiful attack. Very fine game by Teimour Radjabov. Okay, let's move on. Other candidates. Well, Ding Liren has been in extraordinary form recently, and he has several games that I think could well be a strong candidate for Game of the Year, not least his recent performance against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Here, if you recall well, we looked at this very recently. This was played in London not long ago, just about a week ago. And, well, a wonderful strategical performance, but finishing off with a blistering attack. This was the finish. And Rook f5, forcing a checkmate. That was brilliant. Just a reminder, all these games, apart from that Dubov one, all these games you'll find on the channel, and you'll find links to them in the video description down there. So do review all these games. So that's one game of Ding's that I really like, that recent one. But actually there were a couple of others that I thought were fantastic. This one, maybe not spectacular, but this was against Alexander Grishuk from the World Cup. Now, this was amazing. In this position, which, well, you might say that White has a slight advantage, but you know, against a player of the class of Grishuk, to completely outplay him was extraordinary, and Ding managed to do that. I thought this was a brilliant game. So at this point, well, somehow after a few moves we got down to here, and suddenly Ding managed to attack on the king side but also get through to black's pawns on the queen side. It was just a brilliant strategic performance. And another game of Ding's that I really like was his victory against Anish Giri from the Sinkfield Cup this year. So in this position, again, you know, you look at this and you think, well, you know, does White really have anything in this position? You know, what's so special about this? And within a few moves, okay, this is how he did it. It's the kind of move that you would think that looks a bit odd to give up that nice centre pawn, but rook d4 plants that one nicely in the middle. And then this wonderful manoeuvre with the bishop. And the knight as well, coming around to f4. So that was exchanged off. But now White has greater control in the middle, and Ding, with his control over the d-file, managed to just kind of turn right, or whichever way it is, turn right towards the king, which basically lacked protection as the pawns had flown up the board. I mean, this was just another brilliant game from Ding. So I think that's a very strong candidate. Then you might want to pick a player who kind of isn't in the absolute top elite. What about, for example, Artemyev? He'd had a great run of form in the first few months of 2019. This was a wonderful attack against Hracek. Finished off with this and rook g3. First a knight sack, and let's just go to the end. This and a nice queen sack to finish. Not so difficult, but the whole attack was wonderful, and that is checkmate. So that's just a few of the games I've featured on the channel this year. I'm sure you have your own favourites. I haven't mentioned Fabiano Caruana. He's played some great chess this year. Vishy Anand in his 50th year. You might want to pick one of his victories. And again, don't restrict yourself to games that I've recorded on the channel. If you want to mention a game that I haven't looked at, please mention it, and I'll take a look, and you know, that might be one of the nominations. But just to be clear, I'm just looking at nominations, so at this point, and write those in the video description. Sorry, not in the video, write those in the comments section, and in the video description you'll see links to all the games, bar one, that I've mentioned here in this little video. So I look forward to seeing your nominations.